I really love motorsport management games. Well, actually, I really love management games in general. I'm also a big nerd. I like stats. But the trouble I have with them, with both Motorsport Manager and with F1 Manager especially, is that it takes so long to do a weekend. I'm one of those people that can't time 16 the race in F1 Manager as well. I have to watch it at 1 times unless it's a dead cert what position we're coming, because I can't miss a beat. With that in mind, if you've ever felt like you need a game that's a Motorsport Manager or F1 Manager like, or just a racing manager game in general, but it's just a lot simpler, so there's not as much technical development and intricate knowledge of parts, and one where the race weekends are a lot quicker, this could be the game for you. This is Golden Lap. It's based on the 1970s era of F1, and it has a lovely little synth backing track. Now, the beauty of this, it's the racing management simulation genre, except it's very much simpler, easier, more approachable, if you will. So anybody that's not familiar with the genre can easily jump in and start racing. I mean, you need to know a little bit about, tires, but you kind of only need to know the extent of soft tire is quick but weak, hard tire is slow but strong. And you'll see what I mean. We're going to do a little game. We're going to start up a new career and we're going to have a look. And especially if you played any of the old Football Manager or back in those days, Championship Manager games, if you were I used to be a football fan, you'll recognize this system of using dots to represent the athletes. And so this game doesn't have cars per se, but it has little dots that move around the track as like beads on a string. And it surprisingly still captures the feeling. I like it. I like it. So we're going to go into it. New career. We're going to go and we're going to... I did Cush Motorsport offline because I've already played a little bit offline. Let's do like and subscribe. For no particular reason. I don't know what. I don't know why. They're just 2 random words that came to mind. Now, if you are familiar with F1, specifically the older F1, like back in the 70s, you'll definitely know who at least most of these teams represent. Either the name or the logo or both being a link, right? The first one we have is Ezzolini. If you don't know this one, you've probably never watched racing in your life or even heard of a car because this is clearly Ferrari, or now as they're called Scuderia Ferrari, but just Ferrari back in those days. Maybe, it was founded by Enzo Ferrari as well, so maybe that's where Ezzo came from. So yeah, that's clearly that one. LeBron, now I want to say this is McLaren. When you look at the color scheme, the logo design with the arrow kind of thing, and the LA, I'm maybe clutching at straws there. I don't know, but it seems pretty likely, right? We have Chapman, who is Lotus. Wayland, I think, is supposed to represent Tyrrell from back in the day, purely because of the slant, the color, and the vague font with the little like ball serifs. I think that's that. Hemlock, I don't know who this is, and any of these that I can't name, if you're watching and you can name them, please let me know in the comments. Show me up. Brag your F1 knowledge, your historical F1 knowledge. Pope, I swear I know there's a team that's named similar to this, and I can't think who it is. Bancroft, I think is supposed to be Brabham, because like Jack Brabham had his own team and his logo was a snake, which this kind of looks like. And it was, again, a similar font-ish. And so I think it's supposed to be Brabham, personally. I don't know what Vernier is supposed to be. And there's going to be people knowledgeable about 1970s F1 that are going to be angry at me for that. But I don't know. April, this is March, which it's a pun. I've got a lot of love for it. This is clearly a pun. Because the actual real-life team was March. And this is April. I don't need to over-explain it, but there it is. And then finally, we have Knight, right? So if you note, I don't know who Knight are actually based on either. There were a lot of teams in the 1970s F1, and I don't think any of them were called Knight. I don't think any of them were called Day. I noticed like Surtees is not here. Pope, but probably not really, because it's not that similar, because Surtees had like the S on each end was kind of doing what the Ferrari thing does here. So you'll notice as well, as we select these teams in order, it has the predicted position in the championship, in the Constructors' Championship, or where it's predicted they would finish, hence predicted position. So it's kind of the seeding, right? So Ferrari are obviously voted the best because in 1970 they were, although Lotus did pretty well. In fact, I think it was a Lotus driver that won it. I can't remember. I mean, I wasn't alive then, but I from my knowledge, I can't remember quite exactly. Ferrari are predicted first, then McLaren, etc., 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 etc. And if you know anything about me, you'll know why we're going to go with Knight as our starting team. The reason I want to go Knight is because I love an underdog story. Give me an underdog story. Position 10 predicted. Bet. We'll come out and win the league. No, I mean, we won't, but we'll hopefully not come 10th is the aim. Also, because it's not a British team, and I hate how over-nationalist the F1 broadcasts always are over here. And all the commentators being like, oh, this British driver's done well. All the British fans must be happy. It's like, well, maybe they don't support that guy. Like, the nationality is such a loose way to connect them, but it's a historical thing in motorsport. So I guess it's just not been stamped out yet. But hey, I'm on a soapbox. Let's just get to it, shall we? Because we are predicted 10th position, we get the runts of the litter because we don't get any choices until everybody else has selected all their teams. So we're starting with kind of not a hand tied behind our backs, but it's like the opposition has come out and said, right, you can't do right hooks and you can't do left uppercuts. You know, we're limited in our repertoire, but we'll see what we've got. We have to pick 2 drivers, an engineer, and a crew chief. The drivers are going to, now, this is going to be difficult to understand. They're going to drive the car. They're going to drive the car. They'll be responsible for driving the car around the track and hopefully finishing the length of each race. You'll understand when we get into it why that might not happen. Then we have to pick an engineer who's responsible for the development of the car throughout the year. And then the crew chief who's responsible for how pit stops work. Now, don't worry about how much detail it already seems is coming into this. This game makes it really, really simple to get on board with and simple to handle all of these things. And I'll show you how in just a minute. But I also love the kind of modernized UI, but with like these retro icons. So like the car and stuff, it's really like modern vintage, if that makes sense, even down to the color scheme. And I'm a really big fan of the flat, clean, and kind of glossy background design with like shadows around the elements. I know a lot of people would probably start picking the driver first. I'm going to pick the engineer first. I want to make sure I've got the budget to have whatever engineer I want, because in my opinion, and this is going to be controversial to a lot of race fans, more often than not, success in motorsport, or at least in Formula One, which is the pinnacle of motorsport, it's mainly, and I'm not saying it's 100%, but it's mainly the car, okay? If you look back at the last 15 years of F1, very rarely has the most dominant car not won. I mean, 2021, Max Verstappen won in a Red Bull when the Mercedes was the most dominant car. Mercedes was most dominant since 2014, sorry. And now we've got Max Verstappen, who even now, this far into the 2025 season, I'm recording this literally on the Friday of Bahrain. And Max last week at Suzuka just showed why he is a cut above and how he can pull a car up from like above where it should be. So it's for me, engineer is the most important selection here. Also, it's going to help us decide what the balance we want to take in the car, because the car setup direction that we choose is going to cost us and it changes. So a conservative choice is cheaper. While it's slightly less performant, it's not as wild when you develop new parts. So if you decide to buy a new part, so like a new engine, there will be a range of power that it can have. And with a conservative one, it's quite a narrow window, so it's quite predictable, right? Whereas with the experimental version, it could be great or it could be terrible. Now, I like to live life on the edge, so if possible, I want to go for an experimental direction. It's going to be a great story to be somehow fighting for the championship and then crash out on the last lap of the last race or something. You know what I mean? Okay, our engineers available. So they've got 2 stats to them. They've got expertise, which is the performance of the car parts they build, and how many tuning points we gain after a lap in quali. Because in this, qualifying and practice are kind of the same thing, which is one of the ways they've condensed down the weekend, but they do it well. And then the other stat that engineers have is precision. So this influences the reliability of the parts, so how long they can last before they fall apart and break. Obviously, that probably doesn't count if we bin it into the wall in turn 1. No heroics into Sandoval, please. And how much the car can be tuned. You then have the status of where they are in their career. So it doesn't give them an exact age, but it says, are they early career, mid-career, late career? And the team here means that they've already been selected and we can't choose them. I would love reliability, but like I said, I'm going to go balls to the wall. Okay, we're going all out. We're licking the stamp and sending it. Love to Daniel Ricciardo. We're going to try and get someone with expertise. I don't mind as much about the precision, but I also do kind of want early career or at least mid. And we have a couple of mids down here, a 6 and a 3, or we have a 5 and a 5. Ooh, so gaining 2 precision for losing 1 expertise is actually quite worth it. What we also want to check is their traits. So every driver and every engineer has traits. For James Pope, he has driver rapport. So he builds trust between him and the team. Both drivers will get +1 to their focus, which is one of their 2 stats. He also has tuning master, which means he's mastered the tuning techniques to perfection. Parts will have +1 added to minimum value. When you're tuning in quali, it will allow you to soften the blow of a bad tuning. Finally, he's an absent-minded genius. Wait. So he gets on really well with the drivers, and he's a master of tuning, but he's also absent-minded. He's a master of their craft, but albeit inattentive. So how does he get on with the drivers? James Pope is an enigma wrapped in a mystery wrapped in another enigma. Oh, although the others are like $3 cheaper. What else do we have down here? Yeah, I don't want to go too low on the expertise. It is really this block here, I think. Anita Bernal has +20 performance added to the final result of built parts, +1 minimum value for tune parts. So that's just good performance. I mean, that's why they're finessed. The engineer has mastered the craft of every aspect of a racing car. All parts built by them gain 20 performance added to the final result. Okay, so I know they're not going to be very reliable, but that's going to be huge. And that's going to be the same as what James Pope would give us. But it's also going to be double dip into bonus performance. This is the renegade choice. This is the all or nothing choice, right? With a reliability of 3. Which one was this? Handling parts. Okay. So this is all parts gain 20, but then handling parts also gain an extra 20. But I still think the renegade choice, the all or nothing, is Anita Bernal, and this will save us a few dollars to spend on drivers or a pit crew leader as well. So Anita Bernal, welcome to the team. Welcome to like and subscribe. Yeah, look at that. Look at these. Oh, look at the bonuses. I mean, it looks tiny in the grand scheme of things because of the performance overall being quite high. But also, this is what I'm talking about, the windows, right? So if you go conservative, you'll see how the performance is pretty predictable. It's going to be between 2010 and 2280, which is like 270 points. If you go to experimental, that blows up to about 750 points. So we could have, you know, a Brawn GP, which is like just outperforms itself, or we could end up with a 2021 Haas, you know, like we could end up with the Nikita Mazepin of cars. So let's hope we don't get that. But reliability, as well, is either going to be incredible at 70% or we'll always need replacing at 36%. So hopefully the odds are ever in our favor. I do want to go to drivers next, I think. We have $13 left to spend, but we should be fine. Drivers are so expensive. My God. Okay, so Ferrari obviously just went with the best, right? Oh, they didn't get the fastest, though. But they went for the most expensive. Ferrari went for prestige. They went for the big money contracts. McLaren also followed suit with Chapman. Dievenbauer, I don't think we're going to be able to afford at $25, which sounds silly, but you got to imagine these are like millions, right? Or hundreds of thousands. But $25, sorry, mate, I haven't got the change. Can't do it. So we're going to scroll down, way down, because we've already got 13. And even if we drop the experimental direction of the car, that gives us 15. And we've got to get 2 drivers and a pit crew. So we're looking at like 10, which will be perfect for a combination of 9 and 1 or 9 and 0. I reckon Artie von Heim is our young prodigy. 2 speed and 2 focus, while it's so much less than the leaders at the sharp end. It's still going to be useful to have that performance and that focus. So their speed is obviously how quick they are, and their focus is how much they don't crash and how much they can hone in and have a good lap, right? So they're how likely they are to put in an absolute banger of a lap. So we're going to go with Artie von Heim, young prodigy. Welcome to the team. Welcome to like and subscribe. And then the other one, it's either a 1 of everything or it's a 1 and a 2. The 1 and the 2 is Carlos Rodriguez. Mediator. Focus is remarkable, plus 10% chance of increasing focus, minus 10% chance of increasing speed. So they're more likely to just keep focusing. They're more likely to be a steady driver, right? They're never going to be that fast, but they'll be reliable. Or at least in the future. And then we have these ones. And a lot of them have rich parents, so they cost 0 to hire because they don't need the money. So that's nice of them, you know, to give themselves for free. Do we want Carlos Rodriguez with the extra bit of focus, or do we maybe want someone that is going to have a good trait? He says hovering over jerk. We're not going to get the jerk. So we also don't want them, and we don't want them. So it would be between these three if we are going to get someone other than Rodriguez. We're either going to go with Antoine Morel or Carlos Rodriguez. I do like the reliability though, and for $1 cheaper. We're going to go with Antoine Morel, I think. We're going to, you know, RT Von Heim is going to be our big point scorer. Also, they know their limits because they're careful, so they're less likely to crash, which is amazing. Oh, so maybe... Ooh, now I don't know. Oh my God. Okay, decision-making is like my worst trait. Let's think bonuses and negatives. Bonus to Carlos Rodriguez, we have the extra focus. This thing is just that he's going to develop in a focused direction. The benefit to having one of these three, tire wear could be great for strategy. Okay, I'm going to go Rodriguez, and then if we run out of money, we'll drop it down to a cheeky Morel. All right, welcome to the team, Rodriguez. You are welcome to like and subscribe. All right, crew chief is last. They work on pit stops, so it's how long it takes to do a pit stop and the chances of it being successful, so they don't make mistakes and such. We have $3, which means we can get one of these guys. And if we save $1 on Rodriguez, that would give us $4, which would be here. And if we took the car experimental direction down, that would give us 6, which actually would give us the chance to get David Hughes. What is he? Loves to party before a big day. The more likely to get party too hard trait before a qualifier or a race. That sounds like a negative. I'm not going to lie. As much as party animal sounds great, doesn't sound good for the day after when he's at the track. Crew chief enjoys taking risks. Pit stops have base time lowered by 20%, but are 50% more like 50% more likely to fail. Okay, that's not worth dialing in the experimental direction, I don't think. What's David King about? Pit stop base time increased by 20. I don't like that. Crew chief knows how to tackle a race in wet environments. A wet strategist. While they're on your team, drivers gain 10% more speed on dry tires while on a wet track. Oh, yeah, this actually would be perfect for us. Changeable conditions. One of those races where the back markers start to score points. This could be crucial for us. This could be the difference between a P10 and a P11 at some point. Also, pit stops are going to be successful. They're going to be slow pit stops, though. So we're going to try and do one stoppers where possible then. But welcome to the team, Gabriel Ascaso. Ascaso, I'm terrible at pronunciations. So here's our lineup. We have $1 left over. If we wanted to go a bit more conservative, we could, but I'm not going to. We're going to go experimental. The way we can decide whether we should have done that, it depends on what these values come out at, right? So in terms of reliability, balanced would have been 54 to 80. And in terms of performance, we're looking at 2010, 2030, up to the mid 2400s. So let's see with experimental if we get anywhere near that, and let's see what happens. So Night Racing enters the grid for 1970, and now we choose our sponsor, who is going to be having their logo branded on the side of our car with pride as we storm past everyone because we've locked up and our brakes have failed and we've gone straight into the wall. Because you know the cameras love a crash, right? So this is the sponsorship attraction technique. We tell them we may crash, but that's okay because that's going to get more camera time on your brand. And each of these will give us a flat income per race, so race income. And then there will also be bonuses where they're performance targets. So if you achieve the performance they're asking for, and these are positions, by the way, then they will pay you that. So for example, exhaust don't give you much of a flat thing, but if you can hit their bonuses, they're huge. But they need us to come 4th or 2nd, which I dream on, in the words of Aerosmith. Petrol, 2 race income, and they want us to come above 8th during the race and 4th during the season. Remember, we're predicted to be 10th in the season. So I'm not so sure about petrol, if I'm honest. I think maybe metal tubing is the way to go here. Go conservative, get a nice flat $3 a race income. And, you know, just a little bump when we do well. Because if we come 12th or above, that's going to be an extra $1. And if we manage to finish in the top 6 teams, which will be the top 12 drivers overall, then we get a nice healthy little extra bonus. So we're going to go metal tubing. Welcome metal tubing to the side of our car, to our livery. And there it goes, being put together. Look at that. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The performances came out okay. We were saying about the 2010s to 2400s. not bad. It's the low end of conservative, I think. Or sorry, the low end of standard. This would have been. The reliability. We've done great with our steering. Our handling reliability is phenomenal. So the first part we might want to create is a new engine, because a baseline 48% reliability does not fill me with confidence. It's already half broken and we've not even taken to the track yet. So when you develop parts for your car, there is still part development, because that's part of the fun of managing a motorsport team, but it's nowhere near as in-depth as F1 Manager, and it's not even as in-depth really as Motorsport Manager. You can either upgrade your existing part at some point, which will give you performance and reliability of a small amount, 5 to 6 performance, for example, 6 to 10 reliability, or you can build an entirely new one, which will cost almost twice as much, and in some cases probably will cost twice as much. But the bonus to your performance will be much bigger. However, it's not a guaranteed increase in reliability, especially when the window for that reliability is 30 to 53. We've kind of got the most reliable engine mostly that we can probably get at this point. So for that, we're not going to be making a new one. So I was wrong about that, unless we want to take a chance at some point and have some extra money left over. The chassis, same deal. Yeah, steering has gone above and beyond, honestly. So as much as the performance bonuses would be nice, I think we have to keep our car intact and just try to bring it home. If we start to fall down the order, and we're not already at the back of the order, then maybe we start to push on. But for now, I think it might just end up being upgrades. Sorry to those of you that already follow motorsports, but if you're not familiar with how scoring works in especially F1, because this is based off on F1, even though it doesn't mention the words F1. Every driver scores points during a race. If you're in the top 10, you score points in a scaling manner. And then that decides the order of the Drivers' Championship, which is what most of the fans care about. But what most of the teams care about is the Team Championship. This is very simply just both of your drivers' scores added together. So if Artie scores 10 points for us in the first race, Carlos scores 5, that means our team score will be 15 overall. There's nothing fancy about it. That's just that. Also, fastest lap gets you a bonus point for you and your team. So if Joel Ryan takes fastest lap in the first race, Joel Ryan will get a point and LeBron will get an extra point as well. There are traits to each track as well. So for Retorcido, which kind of looks a bit like Catalunya, and I don't think there's another Spanish track on there. No, so this has got to be Catalunya. At least I would assume it's Catalunya. It's not exactly the same, right? But it's still fairly similar. This is very clearly Silverstone. I mean, we don't even need to mention Monaco. Now, you'll notice some of them have skulls next to them. That is a dangerous track, which means if you crash, it's more likely that that crash will be serious or catastrophic. Your drivers can die. Remember that, I mean, even today they can die, but remember this is 1970. Safety was a joke.
What's a joke?
They didn't care about safety back then, really, let's be honest. But each one has its traits, and we'll get to that as we come to it. So let's get to our first race. We're going to Retorcido. It's arid, which means it's going to be using an arid weather pattern. So I assume there's not going to be any rain, which not great for Escasso, our wet strategist. And it's narrows. They're narrow tracks, which means it's going to be harder to overtake, harder to hit top speeds, and more dangerous. So there's less chance of overtaking, less engine performance, and more crash chance. So we want to be careful. We want to qualify fast, and we want to put most of our tuning into probably handling and chassis, because every point that we put into engine is only really worth 3/4 of a point. Let's do this. Welcome to Retorcido. Look at this. They've even got corner names as well. Cucharon. Mango. Brilliant. Limones. Is that literally lemons? Or is that like lemonade or something? Because that Limones just looks like they've called it lemons. Davi Fonseca, driver of the team Vernier, partied a bit too hard yesterday. That's him there, number 8. Although the number on them is their position, so don't get too attached to remembering their name by their number. Remember their name by the color of their dots. He partied a bit hard, now he's hungover. So this is the party animal type approach, I think. Also, Claude Deschamps also did, but he's crew chief of LeBron. So this will be a Ferrari day, I imagine. Okay, immediately going to pause so I can explain how practice quali works. Quali is quali, but quali is also practice. But every time you send them out for a quali lap, they'll come back and then you can tune the car and send them back out. There is absolutely no way your tuning can get worse. It can only get better. Asterisk. Unless you tune it into the red and you overtune it, and then you're screwed. The way tuning works, I'll explain in a second. First thing we want to just do is tune our cars to their baseline and send them out. This is moving a lot faster. So in terms of real time, it's like 4 seconds in game is every 1 second real life. So this gap is like a good 8 seconds. So now we get to see what happens. The sectors will light up here. If you're not familiar with how sectors work, purple there means fastest of anybody. Green means personal best. And there will be yellow if it's not a personal best, but I don't think you'll ever see those during quali in this game. Von Heim crosses the line with a 1:57.26. We are 5 seconds off the Ferraris, but I didn't expect to be close to them. We are, however, faster than at least 4 different cars here. We'll start to get a picture of who our competitors are and where we lie, like where we sit in the overall order. And that actually, for a team that's supposed to be 10th in the championship and was supposed to probably be like 18th to 20th, 9th and 11th, I'm not mad. Boys, I'm not mad about that first run. That's a good run. So now we have to tune our car. We get to see that Moretti here for Ezzolini is the leader. So he's got the fastest time. That's his relative car performance. Or it's probably average because ours is 2196, right? And these are 3 stats. So essentially, that performance plus driver ability is what's amounting to 5 seconds. 4.8 and 4.9. Drivers are only half a tenth off each other, which means they're at least consistent with each other. Rodriguez has got the edge at the moment, which is really interesting because Von Heim is supposed to be our prodigy. And so now what we do is we tune the car to send it back out. The engineer has this many tuning points. They have 15 out of 20 available, which is quite good. Now, when we tune each one, we get to pick between 2 things. You see the cost here in tuning points. For example, if we wanted to tune the engine up, we can spend 1 point to gain a bonus of 1 to 3 points, or 2 to gain a bonus of 1 to 5, depending on how well they do when they tune the car in that way. So by doing some maths here, you know, spending 1 for 1 to 3 is kind of like the equivalent of spending 2 for 2 to 6. So actually this is more valuable than the 1 to 5. But our engine is not going to be as good because it's going to lose 20%. Maybe we go big. We're going to do a 3 to 19. And what you'll see here is currently plus 0 out of 65. 2157 is our overall score. If we hit this, we got plus 19. Bernal is zoned into tuning this car. And the handling on that car is now 19 better. The reason it's out of 65 is because if you can tune into this little gold section here, you'll see the green bars making its way up. You get what's called a golden tune. And it overtunes the car to like 70 something out of 65 and gives you a little bonus performance. If you go into the red, bad things happen. We're not going to go into the red. Red is bad. I don't like the idea of getting a 1 on the 1 to 20, so I'm going to do this. Okay, the 4 wasn't great either. So now we send Von Heim back out onto the track. Well, we tune up the car, which will take a minute. And while they're doing that, we then tune Rodriguez in the same way. Okay, that's not bad. Okay, and then we send this one out. And then as soon as Von Heim's ready to go, we're going to send them pretty much straight out. Because while we've still got the ability to have space, every time we do a lap, it's actually 3 laps. This is just like real life. Because it will start with what's called an out lap, which is where the lap on which you come out of the pits. Then when you cross the line, you do your timed lap, otherwise known as a flying lap, where there'll be no status written here to the right-hand side. And then you do what's called an in lap, which you might have guessed is when you go back into the pits. So you see how Hodgson now doesn't have anything here. It's because Hodgson's on a flyer. So is Von Heim and Rodriguez. Rodriguez can't focus. Rodriguez, why can't you focus? Come on, dude. You got acres of space. Von Heim has been like accosted by DuPont, who's just seeming to be all over the back of him. But you, meanwhile, have acres of space. You could just focus. Focus, man. We're both improved. Von Heim is now in front by a 1/10.5 over Rodriguez. So the setup is really starting to go Von Heim's way. I think it must have been that handling that we did in the tuning. I think that must have been what it was. So we immediately want to start tuning again, and then it's when you wait to send them out is when there's people driving past, because you want to stick them out into space. Okay, if we're gonna get anywhere near to a golden tune, it could be Rodriguez that gets it after all that. Also, this is where the weather would appear, by the way. So if it's going to get wet, it would appear here. It's really not going to get wet in Spain, but if it did, that's where it would appear. And then this is track grip, so how fast you're going to be going around the track at that time. So we do want to make sure we're getting laps in towards the end as well. All right, Von Heim starts a new flying lap, coming around all the first few corners, heading up towards Vermouth. Beautifully taken. Coming around Grandia, Vanucci, heading straight to Lemons. They are improving on their previous sectors. Oh, it's white when you don't improve. Holgersen didn't improve. Von Heim crosses the line. 4 seconds adrift, improves by over a second. So does Rodriguez, but they're 3/10 adrift. If this game is anything like real life, you want to be within like 2/10 of your teammate because you're technically in the same machinery, right? Now, I know we're tuning the cars differently, but they would want to be within 2/10 of each other at least. So being 3/10 adrift, Rodriguez is going to be fuming right now. Not going to be happy with himself. Hasn't been focusing anyway. Not really focusing much on the engine because I don't think that's where the performance is needed. I don't know if our car is this fast. Like one of the McLarens is down here in 10th. I don't think that should be the case. All right, handling. Handling's looking great. I'm wondering, because we've got 15 minutes left of the hour session, I might just focus on handling for now and try and get the golden tune. Oh, 4 to 15 could get us there. It doesn't, unfortunately, so we're going to need one more tune, but I think we're going to get it. I think we're going to get the golden tune on handling for Von Heim, which is huge news. Same here. I think we have to focus on the handling here, right? So I don't want to risk going into the red zone because you know what? I said I was take risks. Oh yeah, we are going to risk it. And we fucked it. So that's what happens when you hit the red zone. You actually lose a bunch of performance instead. So at least it was Rodriguez and not Von Heim, but this is why taking risks can be a bad thing. But don't think that doesn't mean I'm not going to do it again. Or don't think that doesn't mean I'm going to do it again, rather. Von Heim, what do you got? You can't focus. Oh, it's all gone wrong for us in Spain. We were looking so good up in the top 10. I did think it wasn't quite where we belonged. I thought we were out driving the car a little bit. Rodriguez is not going to be doing too well either because of we hit the red zone and it kind of broke some of the direction of the tuning. But Von Heim crosses the line, goes half a second quicker. Rodriguez gets a 0.9 quicker, 9/10 quicker, and goes a 10th faster than his teammate. You see, that is what happens when you're feeling shit about yourself and your performance. You just bounce back. Just when I thought we were down and out, we're back up near the points again. Now, obviously, below 10th is... You could come 11th or 20th and you'll get the same amount of points because it's 0. But the closer we are to 10th, the more chance we have for points when shit goes wrong ahead of us. So, for example, when people crash out in front of us and stuff. Each of these laps is just under 2 minutes. So if you consider it's 3, that'll be 6 minutes. We may be able to squeeze in a cheeky 2 tunes, but I think this is going to be 1 tune from here on out. There's no way we go bust on 3 to 10 on the handling. And that's a golden tune. 73 out of 65. We love to see it. Okay, Von Heim. We're giving Von Heim literally every chance to do well here. That's looking pretty good. I just ignored the engine really because of the lack of, because of the detriment on the narrow track. And we're going to see if that pays off. But for now, that's how the car looks for Von Heim. So show us what you got, Von Heim. And then Rodriguez. Oh, poor Rodriguez. I really fucked Rodriguez with that overtune, didn't I? Okay, we're bringing it back though. All right, we've got to go big. Oh, okay, not quite the golden tune, but the handling is coming back. And I think handling could be key here. All right, let's see how this goes. So let's follow Von Heim for a lap around the Spanish circuit. As we come down the start, finish straight, strong right-hander into a little couple of S's. The teammate can't focus, but they look fully in control as they end the first sector with a long looping left into another left-hander and a hairpin right. A longer, forgiving hairpin to the left, sharpens up on the right-hand side. Long straight into 2 right-handers, almost 90 degrees. A few left and rights, and a couple of looping left and rights here. I mean, they're all left and rights, really, aren't they? It goes too fast for me to properly commentate. But a big lap from Von Heim. Rodriguez left half a second adrift and definitely asking questions about that run. We might just have time to get in a flying lap. If it's like real life, we'll have to cross the line to be doing our flying lap by the time we get out. But that will mean our tuning will need to be essentially 0 time. It's a balancing act now, right? Because we've got to make no tunes essentially. Oh, golden tune. 26 seconds. I don't know if we're going to get out, but I think that's all I'm going to do. So in the attempt to at least get the car on track and make the tuning take effect. And then Rodriguez, we're just going to try and get you a golden tune. There it is. Successfully golden tune a car part after having previously overtuned it. Oh, we did, yeah. There you go. We come back stronger. That's how we do. The moment we can send them out, I don't care about space anymore. It's just there we go. They're gone. They're gone. They're gone. I don't think we're going to have time to get round because even the fastest lap is 147. So we won't make this. We'd at least get close, look. We were at least on the home straight almost. But yeah, back into the pits, guys. We just took that last, we took that last setup for a little run around the track. More driver acclimatization to the setup. Rodriguez being half a second adrift from Von Heim has actually cost them 6 positions. Definite divide here with like 2-second gap between 9th and 10th. What that kind of tells me, yeah, I mean, look at the gaps, right? There's over a second back to DuPont. So top 3 are probably just going to fly away. I imagine Paul Woods will eventually catch up due to being in a McLaren or a LeBron. But it's probably going to be a 3-horse race in this race, this first one of the season. And then here from 10th down, I mean, it's anybody's game from 10th down because look at that. Half a second was 6 places. Less than a 10th separates 15th and 16th, 16th and 17th. And then 17th and 18th. This is huge. But that means there's big potential for Carlos Rodriguez to come soaring up from the back. However, I might put him on the hard tires, right? This is where tire strategy comes into it. If you're not familiar with tires in Formula One, this works in the same way. So we won't need the intermediates or the wets, the I and the W, because they're about wet weather tires. Therefore, if it rains. 3 tires, essentially. You'll see here the graph is the tire life. So it's how high it is how fast you're going to go. So it's how much performance you have left in the tire or how much life is left in the tire. And so when it'll drop off to 0. Now you'll see the performance of a soft tire on lap 1 is 1003, but it drops off pretty quickly. Hard tire on lap 1 has a performance of 995, but will last reasonably for about probably 34 laps. Yeah, 30 to 56 is overall, because if you go like light driving strategy and you're really easy on the tires, it can technically last you to 56 if you run them right to the carcass. Usually you'll want to pit before the end of the tire life because they do get slower and slower the longer you go. And eventually, I mean, a pit stop will lose you on average, at least in real life, 20 to 25 seconds. So if you're losing like 2 seconds a lap, 3 seconds a lap, you don't want to stay out 7 to 10 laps longer. Otherwise, you've lost the advantage you have by not pitting. So it's a bit of a strategy decision, right? Like Von Heim is up there, is in the mix. So I might want to stick them on the softs, keep them up there, keep them racing, especially because it's going to be difficult to overtake. We don't want to lose a position up there. Whereas the exact opposite is true for Rodriguez. There's not really much worth doing for Rodriguez in terms of soft tires because we're not necessarily going to be able to push up that much. So what it might be best to do is leave Rodriguez out long and then hope that we gain, when people go in and pit early, we gain enough time, maybe hope for a safety car mid-race where we can have a cheap stop. Because if there's yellow flags or if there's a safety car, because in this game you don't have a safety car, you have yellow flags, but it's the same as a real-life safety car in a way, in that the whole course, the drivers have to slow down. Which means when you're stopping for a pit stop, they're not going as much faster than you as they are when they're at full speed. So if you pit under a safety car, or in this game under double yellows or under yellow flags, your pit stop time lost will be less. So we're going to hope for Rodriguez's sake that we can get a cheeky safety car. Our pit stops are fairly slow though, so I wonder about going hard mediums. If we say it's like somewhere in the middle of the laps it's actually saying, and we say it's going to last us like 27, 28 laps maybe. I mean, even that's pushing it. Maybe 23. Then that would leave us 45 laps to do, which is not even a hard tire. So maybe soft is okay at the beginning. So we could go soft, medium, soft. So if it's 22, what we're actually looking at is like 17 or 18. 2 soft stints would be 34, which will leave us 34 laps. Soft, hard, soft could be a plan. And then Rodriguez goes hard, soft, soft. But obviously, we'll have to react as well to any safety cars or anything else that happens during the race. But we're going to start on maximum fuel burn. Don't worry about the graph saying that we're going to have no fuel left at the end of the race, because when we turn it down, it will predict back up again. But I want to burn at the beginning so as to try and not lose places. We can maybe push for the first couple laps with Von Heim I really want Rodriguez to go long, so I don't want to push with Rodriguez. And the worst case, we lose 2 positions. That's the plan. All right. 1 red light at Spain. It's 5 red lights. The lights are off and the pedals are to the floor as they all take off. And Von Heim is immediately losing positions like a fucking stone. Down in 14th place. Tucked in behind Schaub. But what can we do? They're all just complaining that they can't overtake people and that people are going past them. Rodriguez has indeed lost those 2 positions we talked about. Von Heim being on the softer tires should really be making more of an impact early on because there's no one on soft tires around them. And also, when you make them push hard, that's going to make them burn the tires quicker, but they're supposed to perform a little bit better. But also, they'll gain stress as well. So we can't really have them pushing flat out for more than a lap or 2 because now, look, their chance of crashing is high. And I think Von Heim is our only chance of getting points positions. So for now, I'm just going to let them settle in. You know, they've pushed. They've kept up with 12th and 11th. So I'm just going to hopefully let the tires do the work here for a little bit. And we're going to see what happens with them. Rodriguez has managed to make their way back up to 16th. So they're actually up from where they were off the grid, which is great. The Ferraris up front, Mack is just absolutely checked out. He's Mack Verstappen at this point. Moretti is also up there with him. With indeed Ryan being there. DuPont is actually keeping hold of Ryan. He's keeping Ryan honest a little bit, only a couple seconds behind. But really, it's going to be a Ferrari day. Like this is wildly. After 3 laps, they're already like a few seconds ahead. They are gone. They're going to check out. Von Heim looking to check in because they've yet to do so. They're not looking too hot right now. We might need to tell them to push again for a little bit. No team orders. That's the other thing you can do, by the way. You can give them team orders to say let your teammate pass or don't try to overtake your teammate, which is useful. I'm not a huge fan of it, honestly. Every team principle would be different. I'm not a fan of team orders unless you're on wildly different strategies. Now, these guys are currently on different strategies because Von Heim is on softs. But if Von Heim isn't making those softs work, because it's not like Von Heim started behind Rodriguez. Von Heim started a good 8 positions, I think it was, or 6 positions ahead of Rodriguez. So if they're not performing on those softs, it'd be unreasonable of me to tell Rodriguez to hold back, in my opinion, right? And it's the first race of the season. I can't do that to Von Heim. I can't do that to Rodriguez, you know? Like, if I were Rodriguez in that case, I would then quit. Von Heim's going to need to chill out a bit. They really can't push that much to try and overtake Hustler, but they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. They're still fighting. They're still trying. They're staying within a second, but those soft tires are really starting to melt like an ice cube on a sunny day. And Von Heim he's just got to stay within a couple of seconds of Hustler and hope that they crash maybe. Because right now, you know, if we look at, 10th place is up here. This is where we want to hit if we want to get points. And when you look at like how far the gap is between 10th and us, it's like what, 3, 5, 6, 7, probably 8 to 9 seconds of gap. It's not great. It's really not great. And as we see, Rodriguez has in fact overtaken Von Heim. And so I was right not to tell Rodriguez to sit back, because it turns out that Rodriguez is the man in form right now, even on those hard tires, which is going to come really good for us later on, especially if there's a mid-race safety car. That would be great. That would be fantastic. Again, there isn't really safety cars, but a mid-race yellow. Although they're coming back now to fight again, this of course will lose us a bit of time overall. But I don't know. It's the spirit of the race for me. I can't give them team orders this early on. They come round Tinto. Rodriguez is now back behind Von Heim, who has made their way back up to 15th. And the lap that they're gonna pit, what did we say, like 14, 17, ideally? Yeah, because if we go any later than 17, they're gonna start to struggle. I'm also not gonna get them to push on their tires much anymore. How are we looking on that fuel? We're still good. We're still good on fuel. Fuel's still fine. As long as we can make it to the end on fuel, and also if we need to save fuel, we can go into low fuel burn mode. But if we need to save on fuel later, we can. But we're good still burning through the fuel at the moment. As Von Heim and Rodriguez still battling. Hustler hasn't managed to take advantage of this fight to get away as well. So they're still within touch of I don't know, is this the Hemlock? Hemlock driver. Von Heim and Rodriguez just showing that you can race clean as a couple of drivers racing together on the same team. There are no team orders at night of course, run by like and subscribe. So it's, you know, it's good. It's good. This is positive. We're teaching them to fight, but to respect each other. In modern day, I think that's called papaya rules, but we're black and white. So maybe it's monochrome rules. Night rules. It's night rules, which honestly sounds like I'm just telling them to go beat each other up. But no, it's night rules. Von Heim will also be pitting first. So we need to think about that as well. Grip on the track will start to improve over time, as you see. Obviously, if there's a safety car, I'm just going to call it a safety car, okay? The field won't group up. And on screen, it's going to be called yellow flags. Maybe I'll call it that, but it feels more like a safety car. The strategic response to a yellow flag in this game, it's always full course yellow, for one. But it's always more... I mean, it is like a full course yellow, to be fair. So I'll call it that, maybe. But, oh my God, Rodriguez managing to overtake Von Heim again. Von Heim's softs, of course, are now wearing away a little bit, like me after 12 hours of work. And it's showing, I think. Von Heim might need to pit a little bit earlier, maybe. How's Von Heim looking on their laps? Their fastest... They're only a second off their fastest at the moment. Rodriguez just put in their fastest lap of the race, which is, by the way, still almost 5 seconds off a drift of the fastest lap of the race, which is Ferrari, with Moretti, who Moretti is actually now in the lead. Mack is still there right on them, though. But they're now already, after 14 laps, coming up to the back of the pack. And they are 16 seconds clear of everyone. And they're on the hard tires. This is a Ferrari season. I'm telling you that now. Telling you that now. And Rodriguez trying to make a move on Hustler, but just can't seem to squeeze past the Hemlock driver. And there's just nothing they can seem to do. Hemlock, Hustler is the cork in the bottle for Knight right now as a team. That's standing between us and points, which, to be fair, Hustler's playing the team game because Viaber is up there in 11th, fighting for a point. And if they don't have to worry about us coming up from behind, then that's all but better. But Rodriguez is going to try and make it stick as they go into Vermouth. Hustler comes out in front, and that is not going to be it, which has allowed Von Heim to catch back up and actually move past Rodriguez. Von Heim tries to make it too, but again, Hustler just showing that they can hold out when they need to. Okay. Von Heim is going to be pitting soon, so we're going to tell Von Heim to absolutely burn it, what's left of those soft tires. And they will be screaming out, and Von Heim will be thankful to get rid of them. So thankful, in fact, that Von Heim makes our first pass as a team past Hustler. I think that's the first time we've overtaken that goddamn driver. And now we can reward Von Heim with a new set of tires. Maybe we put them on the hards, and then that gives us the flexibility for the mediums or the softs later on. And we're just going to see what happens there. Reliability, I'm not keen on these 40%, but we're not going to take time to do repairs. Because as you see, 24-second pit stop, 48 if we repair just one thing. So we're not going to do that. But we're going to tell Von Heim. We're going to tell Von Heim to burn it because we don't know if we're going to come out around anybody. And so Von Heim will pit this lap from a respectable 13th place. They didn't start well on the softs, but they have come good towards the end of the stint. The question is now, we're definitely going to come out in front of Fonseca and probably behind Kukkonen, I would guess. Yeah, by a long way. Wait, Hustler's there. Wait, it's been a long stop for Von Heim, and Hustler has retaken the position, the track position, over Von Heim, and that is lamentable. That is why sometimes a cheap and cheerful pit crew leader is not what you want. We're going to tell Von Heim to just settle in for a bit now on those fresh hards. Get used to them. And just stay with Hustler if you can. Meanwhile, up in 13th, Rodriguez is about to see the flash of a Ferrari. And not because we're up in the top, but because the Ferraris are already a lap ahead of 13th place. A third into the race. And they're going to have to be looking at the potential of these double diffusers or something. Because these Ferraris are a cut above. Maybe they've installed DAS 40, 50 years early. But there it is. There it is. And they're bringing it home. They really are. I mean, look at that. They're a whole 34 seconds ahead of anybody else in the field right now. And nobody as far down as 5th has stopped either. So, wow. Rodriguez, pretty chill time at the moment. Pretty lonely race right now for Rodriguez. But meanwhile, back in 17th, Von Heim is getting mighty familiar with the rear wing of that Hemlock. Because they are stuck behind Hustler still. After all this time, Hustler and Von Heim seem to be burning their tires about the same amount. We're also having to deal with being lapped, which means we're going to fall behind them a little bit. We have come out, though, in front of Steiner, crucially. There's the full course yellows. There's the full course yellows. Now, the question we have to ask ourselves is, does Rodriguez pit onto fresh hards, maybe? Because fresh hards now would be a cheap pit stop. We're going to have to do 2 stops anyway. So I think we give Rodriguez a cheap stop, but maybe we leave them out for 1 more lap first. And then we give Rodriguez the cheap stop onto a fresh set of hards, and then we burn away some softs at the end. Or is it mediums? I think we go mediums and then softs. Mediums will give us, let's see, 20... We're going to say like 28, but we're going to 3/4 that. 18 laps. So maybe lap 40, and then can we get 28 of those hards? Yeah, we can. Yeah, or even more mediums maybe. Or if we can make them last like 25 laps each, or 23, it could be 2 mediums. We could make that work. We're gonna go with the mediums. All right, Rodriguez, you're gonna go for it. Von Heim, meanwhile, is almost in 1-stop territory. Almost in the territory of being able to pull off a 1-stop. Now, the crucial thing, we're going to have to watch Rodriguez, because when they come out of the pits, are they going to be... Surely they're going to be ahead of Hustler and Von Heim. Unless those fresh hards have really been working, unless they're a really strong race tire, you've got to think, with the cars going slower, Rodriguez is going to gain on Von Heim, maybe even overcut Hustler by coming out in front of them. How are they going to do? It's been a very slow stop. They're coming out, and they are wildly clear of Hustler. 5 seconds up the road on softer compound of tires as well. It's all coming up Millhouse for Rodriguez. This is good. This is good. A solid 5+ seconds. This is strong. We actually probably could have even left it a lap, but there we go. Von Heim now on fresh tires. Rodriguez also... Sorry, Von Heim already on fresh tires. Rodriguez now on fresh tires. And when it goes green, the first thing... Wait, there's been a puncture. There was a puncture for Holgersen. Holgersen has had a puncture on fresh hards. Oh, they're going to have to pit again. Oh, that's a nightmare situation for Holgersen. That is terrible. They've lost only 1 position, though. It could have been worse for them. It could have been a lot worse. Rodriguez, when it goes green, the first thing they're going to have to do is give way. Or they've already given way, actually. All right, green flag. I just want to make sure they're doing the right things. We don't want you on a burn. We're going to have you on mediums to maybe go on more mediums or hards towards the end. And then Von Heim is going to try and make it into soft territory. Because we did what? Lap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, right? So we're going to want like lap 51. So at the end of lap 50, yeah, that's going to be perfect. Soft, hard, soft for Von Heim. But Rodriguez is the big winner, at least in our battles, of that full course yellow. Coming out in 12th, not under threat at all from Hustler as well. We're also going to... Okay, Von Heim, you've still got a little bit of leeway on the fuel burn. Rodriguez, we're going to leave off the fuel burn a little. Actually, yeah, we're going to leave off the fuel burn a little bit. Give ourselves a bit of a strategic option there. As Von Heim is not terribly keeping up with Hustler right now. Although we have been lapped by Woods. Hustler is now being lapped, which should hopefully slow them up a little bit. Not a huge amount. 2.96. Still that 8-second gap between Rodriguez and Hustler. Hustler is 7.6 behind Rodriguez. By the way, I don't know how I didn't notice this. The full course yellow was for Moretti, one of the Ferraris. In a day where they were looking for the perfect season opener, they no longer have fastest lap. They no longer have the 1-2. No Grand Slam for Ferrari this weekend. That's a crying shame for Moretti. And gives a huge advantage to Mach in what will surely be a single team title race, as is honestly depressingly typical for F1. Anyway, Von Heim still staying in touch with Hustler, but again having to give way for some of the faster cars. The problem with being a backmarker. Von Heim, even with the extra fuel burn, it's not worth burning extra fuel while you're being lapped as well. And they're only just going to make it over the line with that. So I think we leave that there. Rodriguez still managing that 7.5 second gap. We love to see that. But Von Heim has now found themselves the subject of affection of Rosenqvist, who is right behind us, chomping at the bit on those fresh softs. But if Von Heim can hold out, this is a track, remember, where overtaking is not easy. So if Von Heim can hold out, Rosenqvist on those soft tires will fall away quickly. Sitting in that dirty air as well. Dirty air is not a thing in this game, but, color. Sitting in the dirty air as well of Von Heim. Will Rosenqvist manage to make those softs work out for them? Or will it be more a case of Von Heim managing to just frustrate them for long enough that they no longer have the tire advantage? Because Rosenqvist's softs are already as worn as a percentage as Von Heim's hards are. So from here, it's only going to be advantage Von Heim eventually. We hope anyway, right? Hussler has cut that gap down to 6 seconds behind Rodriguez, but it's back up again as Hussler's having to be lapped again that was Bergman, I think, last. So it's all pretty stable right now. We're hoping Rodriguez keeps hold of that. We're just gonna get a bit of fuel burn for Rodriguez. Let him open up that gap a little bit now that they're not going to be lapped again for a while. Let's start opening that back up on Hussler because we know how much of a thorn in our side that Hemlock has been all afternoon. And we don't want to see that again. Von Heim, meanwhile, has fallen 5 seconds behind Hussler as well. Von Heim at the moment is more about keeping Rosenqvist behind, which so far they have done to perfection. Rosenqvist on those softs really getting frustrated now, becoming very acquainted with the back of that night car. And it's a happy day for everyone in like and subscribe. It's they're at least in this battle. We would love some points. And by the way, with Acosta running out of those softs rather quickly, Rodriguez is currently only about 4 seconds off the points. So don't rule out, our stops are really slow, but don't rule out a slow stop from Acosta or maybe a bad strategy where they're adding one extra stop in than what they need. They'll probably go to hards, I guess, next though. That, and then Schaub maybe, or someone in the top 8 or top 9 crashes. Of course, I don't wish ill on any of these drivers, but at least spin off the track for us, give us a position. Because a point on the opener would be a statement of intent against those people that cast us aside as a P10 prospect, And look at us now. I mean, Von Heim has fallen away from Hussler quite considerably by this point. And we should also put that fuel back. We don't really have any leeway on fuel now. Rodriguez is up to 11th. Schaub, I don't know what happened to Schaub. I think Schaub just had a bit of a bad lap there. But Schaub is also on harder tires than Rodriguez. So they have the opposite situation of what Von Heim is currently creating for Rosenqvist, in that Rodriguez is the one on the softer tires. And so if Rodriguez can stay ahead, they should be able to at least build a little gap now until that tire deficit goes away. Acosta in front of them is also really struggling on those soft tires. Can't wait to discard them at the next pit stop. And Rodriguez just might be able to stay in touch with Acosta and ask the question about a point here today in Spain. Imagine a point on the opening day. Let's go, Rodriguez. Also, with Woods coming out just in front of Rodriguez, Acosta's going to have to slow up a little bit to let them pass. But they had managed to gain some time on us because Rodriguez got held up a little bit at the beginning there of that lap from Woods coming out of the pit. So unfortunately, that hasn't helped Rodriguez a great amount. But they are going to be still pursuing Acosta and currently are in the points. Campbell just pitted by the looks of it. We will still have to pit, of course. You see the number of pits here. We're still on 1. It's Campbell that's pitted. Fonseca at the back has also pitted. This is how it looks overall. The Ferrari is about to lap 7th place. Meanwhile, second is like 37 seconds back. This really is a Max Verstappen here. We need to play the Dutch national anthem at the end of the race, just for familiarity's sake. All right. So from behind Von Heim, Rosenqvist is finally discarding those old softs. Sorry, from behind Rodriguez, it is Schaub that has discarded their old tires. They've come out quite far back, but not far enough back to make it. It was a slow pit stop for Rosenqvist as well. That's big. That's huge for us. That's huge. Okay, Rodriguez really starting to look quite strong. I've got to say, how much would we get out of those mediums if we were to switch on to mediums? Because if we went to medium, ooh, we wouldn't. Not yet. Not yet. I think. What was it? 30. It was 27, right? So we're looking at, we're looking at like 18 laps, maybe. I mean, how old are our current tires? Our current tires are, I wish I knew. 12 laps left. I mean, we're about 12. 4 more laps will take us to 44-ish. Oh, we could do that. Yeah, mediums. I think it's mediums next for Rodriguez. Von Heim's going to try and hang it out for those softs. So if we can last something like 18 laps, what are we going to be wanting? Pit on lap? Oh, no, that'd be lap 60, wouldn't it? I don't think we're going to make it. Ooh, no, wait, hold on. No, we're 24 off at the moment. We could pit actually nearly now. But, I mean, look at this. Like, it's going to be, that's, I mean, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 laps in on this tire. If we can make one more to make it 20, so what would it be? 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 would take us to lap 44. It's possible to get another medium out of this stint, but those mediums are going to start to fall away for damn sure, which makes me wonder about a medium for Von Heim, but I'm going to stick with what I'm thinking with Von Heim, because Von Heim has done well so far. Von Heim, however, is currently being hunted down pretty vigorously by Viaber. But if Von Heim can hold Viaber up enough, that's also another bit of help for Rodriguez. Takes the pressure off just a touch. Top 7 have really checked out. We're a minute and a half, 15 behind Holgersen in 7th. And in fact, 7th is coming round to lap 12, which is crazy, considering 1st is already lapped 7th. And I think just lapped us a second time. But currently, Von Heim doing really well, frustrating people on those hard tires. That's currently their role today. Even though it was Rodriguez that started off on the hards. Von Heim never made those softs work until the end of that first stint. But Rodriguez putting in a solid effort so far. 5 to 9 laps left. So we've currently had, what? 15 laps or something on these? Something like that. We've got 23 laps left. 23 laps left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We've done 22 laps. All right. We're starting to get caught up a little bit by Campbell. Next lap, we're going to pit Rodriguez. So Rodriguez, it's time to push. Push. Burn your fuel as well, just for 1 lap. And then Von Heim has let Viaber past, unfortunately. Well, not let, but they haven't been able to hold them up much longer. Von Heim has slipped down. Acosta is behind them, which is someone else we don't want to be passing Rodriguez in that battle for 10th. Schaub is also down there. It's that cluster involving Von Heim that we're going to need to be looking out for. Now, this is the kind of time where... Shit, I didn't tell him to pit. We said push, but we didn't say box. Oh, I'm such a fool. Okay, we're going to have to tell him to go neutral on this lap, which is going to suck a little. Actually, no, we're still going to burn him. We're still going to burn him away. All right, we're definitely going to make the mediums work now. We're definitely going to make those mediums work. Okay, we're going to come out pushing, though. Oh, my God, Rodriguez, I'm so sorry. Oh, I could have just fucked it. I might have just fucked it. Von Heim's in the zone. Good to hear. Just trying to hold up Schaub still. Acosta is past. That 1 lap could have really cost us. It could have cost us. Ah. Here we go. We're going to drop the fuel burn down. Let's find out where we're going to be. There goes Viaber. There goes Acosta and Schaub and Von Heim and Fonseca. Oh, dear. Okay, don't make mistakes now, Rodriguez. We're just going to have to hope. I mean, Von Heim is the only one not to have pitted. Rodriguez will be 13th. That was bad. But Rodriguez, softer compound than the 3 cars in front of him. and much fresher tyres than the soft in front of that. I think Acosta will probably have to stop again because the softs are only lasting us, what, 10 laps? They can't. Surely they've got to stop again. So that's at least a position gain. Von Heimel stops. That's 12th. So it's Fonseca and Schaub that our race is against now. So Schaub is the aim for points for Rodriguez, which is currently 7 or so seconds away. It's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, I think it lasted 16 laps. If there's a way to see how old our laps were, how old our tires were, that would be freaking wonderful. Like how many laps it's been without having to count, you know what I mean? That would be wonderful. But yeah, I think we make about, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 laps. All right. Von Heim. Time to start pushing, bud. Time to start pushing. And now we're going to, after you go past the entrance, we're going to say box, box. Onto softs, please. And then we're going to see how it goes. Rodriguez still sitting there in 14th. But we're hoping Fonseca on those old hards is going to be slow and is not going to frustrate us like we did to their teammate. Which they probably will out of spite and revenge. But Von Heim, I mean, they're kind of out of the running for points, but I'd be interested to see where they land. Because those 4 cars back there on the softs, that strategy hasn't paid off. Von Heim coming in for their stop. It's a slow stop. All our stops are slow. But they come out crucially in front of Rosenqvist, but Rosenqvist just has that extra speed down the start-finish straight. Von Heim wasn't able to get up to speed in time, and they are now indeed behind Rosenqvist. If we could just get them to just go a little bit. Maybe just push past Rosenqvist, because Rosenqvist is on old softs. Now would be the time to get past them and then frustrate them again. And we really are chasing both of this team's drivers. I forget which one this was. Pope, maybe? Both the Pope drivers are being hunted down by the night right now. But Von Heim is very much out of this race. The soft, hard, soft, I don't think has worked too well. Particularly. But they did well in frustrating a couple of drivers to aid Rodriguez in their quest for points. But we're going to need some more stops up in front if those points are going to get us anywhere. Von Heim is still not past Rosenqvist. They are about a second behind. But we're going to tell them to just ease up on those tires. Because we do want to come home with some tires left. So Von Heim at the moment, it's just cruise control. And we don't have any extra fuel to burn for either driver, really. So Rodriguez, you've got those mediums. And at the moment, you're going to come home with a little bit of extra life left on them. But I don't want to overcommit. Steiner behind us is on old soft, so they're going to have to pit again, so they're not a threat. Hurstler back there in 15th hasn't had as good a strategy as Rodriguez has by the looks of it. But the ones in front of us on those hards, they are, unfortunately, I think, going to be going to the end. And so we've just really got to hope those hard tires drop away on both Fonseca and then Schaub. Acosta, of course, is going to have to pit again. So very much comes into the question, how fast will the fresh set of softs be? Because you know they're going to go onto softs. There's 10 laps left. No reason to go onto anything but softs. There's no tire allocation in this game. So they've got a limited number of soft tires. You got to assume, right? You got to assume they're going to go softs. So they're going to be storming back through the field again. And if you take about 25 seconds out, it doesn't show the gap to the leader, unfortunately, but 25 seconds, what? 5, 6, 7, 14 and a half, 20. They're going to probably end up behind Hustler. So they haven't got that much traffic to go through because remember, Kukkonen and Fischer will have to pit again as well. And we've got a red flag. Oh my, you see, now this is the problem. Does Rodriguez go to softs? I mean, obviously I hope Rodney Campbell's okay. First of all, we're not going to find that out yet, apparently. But Rodney Campbell DNFing from 8th place. Rodriguez's points dream is very much alive after that one. You've only got to overtake one person now. Rodriguez. The red flag will actually start the race again because it's not full course yellow. So, actually, because it's a red flag... Oh, yeah, we're going to have to wait until we get back to do our pit orders. But because it's a red flag, I believe that means we're going to have a standing start. Which means we're going to we're going to be able to all change onto softs. So it's probably just going to be a mad dash for the finish. And if you think about what happened at the beginning of the race, that didn't work out too well for us. So this 8-lap sprint to the end might not be exactly what we wanted here. Rodriguez definitely going to go on them softs. And is going to be burning from the word go. We're also going to repair everything because we have the time, because there's 5.5 minutes left of the red flag. Oh, yeah, that's going to make or break our race, to be honest. The boys need a good start off this standing start. I mean, it's anybody's game now. Even the Ferraris have been brought back by 2 laps to bring back into contention. But you got to think everyone's going to go on these softs now, right? Like, if they don't, what the hell are they doing? We're going to fast forward this as they're literally just preparing. Also, they've left a grid spot open for where Campbell was. That's wild. Okay, Rodriguez, you are, in theory, like a half a second away from points now. Again, our lower down driver can only lose 2 places because Campbell and Moretti are out. The reason Campbell's still in front of Rosenqvist is because Rosenqvist, I think, was a lap down, so they haven't gone past the point on the track Campbell was at when they crashed yet. But here we go. The restart as the green flag goes. It's not a great start from the night drivers, and Rodriguez is all the way down back to where Von Heim is. This time they're on equal tires. Rodriguez still stays ahead of Von Heim, but the point stream flies straight out the window, and the red flag has not been good for us. I mean, I'm not going to call it unlucky. It's just bad starts from our boys. We didn't have the fuel really left to tell them to burn fuel, which is unfortunate because maybe that would have helped. Yeah, you got a lot of people burning fuel, but that is a real shame. We're going to come out of this in a really bad place, and I'll be honest, the boys don't deserve this. The boys don't deserve this. They don't deserve the way it's gone. But hey, them's the breaks, right? No pun intended. Sometimes that happens. They should have been, trying to start a bit harder off the starts. Their standing starts haven't been great. I'm gonna say their starts haven't been great. And we're definitely out of contention for the points right now. So unfortunately, it's not a great start for the night boys. And Von Heim just makes a point by overtaking Rodriguez as well. We're going to keep, because we've not got much to lose here, we're just going to keep them pushing to the end. I know the crash chance is high now, but it's 4 laps to go. We've got 1 guy behind us. The worst case is that we damage some parts on the car, but we got nothing to lose right now. It's a real shame for the boys, especially Rodriguez. Rodriguez was doing so... At least I don't feel as bad about my pit stop error now. We didn't call Rodriguez in until a lap late. But I no longer feel bad about that because it would have all gone to shit anyway. I mean, if Rodriguez had been 2 places up, right? Maybe he'd have been about 13th, 14th by now. It's still like a good time adrift. So it's really showing us that our car performance this season, at least on race pace, or at least on starting, I don't know how we fix the starts, but it's not there, is it? It's not there. It's strategy that we've got to rely on. Thankfully, there's a lot of wet tracks coming up, and hopefully our lead pit crew guy, our pit chief, our crew chief, will be able to help with that. As Von Heim refamiliarizes himself with Hustler's rear wing in the last couple of laps, as he was so used to seeing in the first stint of this race and had hoped to never see again. But yeah, that's a real shame. That's a real shame. Lots of lessons to take from today. We know where we need to improve, and that's on race starts. And also calling our drivers into pit quick enough. But yeah, we're sticking with the pack, but ultimately, I mean, we're on softer compound than the 5 drivers in front of us. I know it's a hard track to pass at, but if that's the case, how are we dropping down so far, so quickly off the starts? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Come on, boys. But hey, it's their first race, and we're predicted to finish 10th in the championship. We will at least be ahead, maybe on countback, although if countback is done by lead driver, we're actually going to be 10th. We're going to be exactly where they predicted us to be. And as they come home in 16th and 18th, wait, it gave us 17th for some reason. Okay, well, I mean, okay. That puts a lot of things into perspective. Rodney Campbell, I'm afraid to announce, has died as a result of his injuries. Motor racing is a dangerous sport, and it's a sport we all love, and you're always seeking that edge. You're always seeking that extra tenth. But on days like this, the results aren't what matter. It's showing respect for Rodney Campbell, who has died in Spain, and what happened to us is no longer the worst thing to come out of this day. So again, helps get a little bit of perspective, and we're going to have to take some lessons away, but Bancroft are going to be feeling this the worst today. Albert Steiner knows that in the same car, it could have been him. They both pit 4 times as well. How do you pit 4 times and stay ahead of us? But I mean, hey, you know, take 13th if it helps you out. You know, if it makes you feel a little bit better about what's happened today. The podium, of course, Ferrari on top. And one of the Ferraris DNF'd, meaning it was a double podium for McLaren. I think we're going to see these 2 teams on the podium a lot this season. Which reminds me, if you want to see more of this, let me know in the comments. Do tell me, because this I was kind of planning as just a one-off for now, just to show this game off. But it is obviously a season, and I've got to right some wrongs after this race. So please, genuinely, if you want to see more of this game, let me know in those comments and just ask for more, and I will be more than happy to deliver. But we do, in fact, sit 10th on countback, unfortunately, after that first race. So we're at least meeting expectations. We earned $3 from the race weekend. And if we do indeed do another episode of this, sitting in 16th and 17th in the championship. That was a skull and crossbones next to Campbell, wasn't it? Good God. Sitting 10th in the constructors. Next time out, we will spend that $4 on a much needed upgrade ahead of the race at Mutton Chop. Driver replacement. Rodney Campbell from Team Bancroft tragically died. But you know this is a circus and the show must go on. So Alessandro Rinaldi was hired to replace them. And we now also have sponsor challenges available for the next race. Vorsprung or metal tubing also. Golden tune the steering. Don't use the same tire compound on more than one driver. Golden tuning steering will be the sponsor challenge. So that's it. Unfortunately, not a great first day at the races, but that was hopefully enjoyable for you guys. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, as I said, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you want to see. I've got a few other games lined up. There'll be more games to come. So I hope you enjoyed. Go check out Golden Lap on Steam. It is called Golden Lap. So if you are interested in this game and you want to see if you can do better, take Knight further than I have, or you just want to be Ferrari and just be swagger for a while, then you could do that as well. You can pick any team. It's a game that's actively in development as well, so it's only going to get better. But thank you for joining me. And without further ado, I might see you at Mutton Chop later. Cush out.